G'day, my name's Scott Wimble, though most of the time I'm referred to as Sir. I'm an experienced HSC teacher, and I've been making a couple of videos to help people as they study and prepare for the HSC. I've looked at graphically organising your notes. I've looked at using the syllabus, looking at past papers. So go and check some of those out if you're looking for specific examples of different study techniques and different ways to help you retain information. I wanted to talk about something a little bit different now though, and it's being comfortable. For many people, creating a video and putting it on the internet, for them, would be an incredibly uncomfortable thing to do. They're happy to perhaps watch these videos, but if I was to say to most of you, I'd like you to sit down and to talk for 5 or 6 minutes straight and tell me what you think about a topic, that'd be an incredibly uncomfortable thing for them to do, and they get quite nervous. I've been doing this for quite a while now, and I'm relatively comfortable doing that. And I think we separate out facing exams as something that just is an event that you lead up to, and you don't think about the fact that you can actually make yourself, by practicing, by doing various things, more comfortable in an exam setting than someone who's just doing it once or twice. Because if you think about it, the HSC exams, they're kind of a big deal. They're worth a fair amount of your HSC assessment, and depending on what your school does, you may only face that exam environment 3, 4, 5 or 6 times in your life. So if that's you and you get nervous in those kind of environments, it might be a good idea to try and do some things to get yourself more comfortable in that environment. And by that I mean, when you're studying, practice certain things so that when you're actually doing the exams, you're thinking in your mind, I've done this before. Now there's a couple of things you can do. Maybe first we could categorize the first one as environment. Being in a deadly silent, hopefully not, being in a deathly silent environment where there's no noise whatsoever, or practically no noise, is not something that happens very often. So maybe that's something that you can practice while you're studying. Finding an area, maybe you might have to travel somewhere, travel to an auntie's house or something like that, or someone that you know, a grandmother's house, and say, I'm going to go into this room downstairs where there's no noise for a long period of time. I'm going to study for an hour or two in silence. I'm not going to bring my headphones. I'm not going to listen to music. I'm going to be in silence, because that's what happens in the exam. I'm going to be forced to work and to think without any noise. So that might be a first kind of helpful hand to you. Another thing that we often don't do is concentrate, work and think for that long a period of time. 3 hours is a long time. And you're going to get weary during that time period. So if you're someone that says, look, when I study, I only like studying for 20 minutes at a time, and then I go off and I get a break, and this is what I do. I do 20 minutes of hard study and 2-minute break, or half an hour of hard focused study, and then I have a 5-minute break, or for some of you, 20 minutes of hard study followed by 2 hours of playing FIFA or whatever it is. But train yourself to focus for longer periods of time. Say to yourself, this afternoon, I'm going to work for 2 hours solid and see how I am afterwards. So you're getting used to the environment and the concept of working flat out. And by that, I don't mean sit in a room and relax. I mean put yourself under pressure. So give yourself some questions. So maybe grab a past paper and say, I've got 45 minutes, I'm going to work on this section. So put yourself under the pressure of an exam, of that time pressure, so that you're also giving yourself the comfortableness, the familiarity, I guess you'd say, of I've done this before. That's really helpful for you if you're someone that gets nervous, because you're going to say to yourself, I've done this before. It's just me and a desk, and there's the paper, and I'm going to work hard in a quiet environment for a long period of time. So that's the first thing, environmental factors. Secondly, the skill set. Get some past papers, get some questions from your teacher, and practice the skills that you're going to do in the exam. So first up, deconstructing a question. So asking yourself, what does this question mean? What is it asking me to do? How do I successfully answer this question? So that's the first skill. And secondly, planning out an answer, whether it's an extended response or a 10 marker or something to that effect. Getting into the practice of doing something again and again and again. Because the more often that you deconstruct the question and plan it, the faster you're going to get at that skill and the better you're going to get at it and the more comfortable you're going to feel doing it. So when it comes to the exam, you sit there, you're in a new environment, surrounded by a whole bunch of people, it's quiet, you've got to be focused for a long period of time, but you're saying to yourself, I can do this because I've done this before. I've done this before and I'm going to just work as hard as I can and I'm not going to be fazed by it. Another thing perhaps that you could talk about is writing. Do you write for 15 minutes, then give yourself a break? Well, you can't do that in an exam. So set yourself some tasks, put yourself under that time pressure that I talked about, and write. Write and write and write. Because you don't want to be sitting in an exam an hour and 10 minutes into 3 hours saying to yourself, you know what, I can't write anymore. That would be tragic if you knew a lot more, but you couldn't physically write. So, in the lead up to the exams, get those writing muscles working. Working and working. Sounds harsh, but that'll also make you able to finish the exam as best as you can, being able to write down everything that you know as best you can. All right, hopefully that helped. Hopefully that gives you some thinking through and strategizing. This is what I'm going to do so that when I get into the exam, I feel as comfortable as possible. I know what I'm doing. I've experienced this before and I can give my 100% best efforts.